This is Kim Meyer, host of Choose to Rise. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
You're listening to Catch Up, an official news production of Public House Media. Former female employees of the Washington Redskins organization have spoken out about their experiences with sexual harassment and verbal abuse by former members and scouts, specifically in Dan Snyder's inner circle. Name drops include former director and assistant director of pro personnel Alex Santos and Richard Mann II, respectively, and radio play-by-play announcer Larry Michael. As you can tell by the formers, yes, they recently left the organization earlier this week.
Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen have denied interview requests, and the NFL has not responded to an ESPN request for comment. The Washington Redskins football team takes issues of employee conduct seriously, the team said in a release statement to the Washington Post. While we do not speak to specific employee situations publicly, when new allegations of conduct are brought forward that are contrary to these policies, we address them promptly.
First-year coach Ron Rivera stated, biggest thing is that we have to move forward from this and make sure everybody understands we have policies that we will follow and that we have an open-door policy with no retribution. Plus, my daughter works for the team, and I sure as hell am not going to allow any of this, end quote. The team has also hired an attorney to review the organization's policies and protocols. But now we're going to throw it over to our sports correspondent, Max Walpuff, to shed a bit of insider info on this topic. Max, can you just give us a little bit more detail? We kind of had the bones of the story, but now we really need the meat.
Sure. This is about as unsurprising a report out of Washington football from the last couple of years. From the time Dan Snyder bought the team in the early 2000s to now, his reign has been marked by mediocre play on the field and pretty much consistent reporting that things are worse behind the scenes. The last couple of years have not been great for Washington football on the field, and a lot of that added pressure to sell tickets permeated through the full-time office of marketers and salespeople. And one of the hallmarks of the story was how a lot of women working within the sales and marketing department for the Washington Redskins felt the pressure from their boss to sell tickets to a team that couldn't play football. And as part of that pressure, that manifested itself in poor workplace treatment of women, in poor workplace treatment of executives. Snyder is frequently called out for belittling his executives when he has the chance. And the 15 women who came forward in the story, only one of them gave her name for the story, and that was Emily Applegate. The other 14 kept their names confidential, in part because as part of leaving the Redskins organization, the Post detailed that they signed non-disparagement and non-disclosure agreements with their former employers. So these women who get into work with the NFL, there are people who line up out the door to try to work within the NFL, and they get in, and suddenly they have to deal with belittling comments, snide texts from their bosses. There are even reporters for The Athletic who had to deal with sexual harassment from the executives of the team they covered. There was a story in the report about an employee being suggested you should get breast implants, and there was the referral of, I might know somebody who can get you a rate. These are the sorts of small comments that even in a smaller context, they build to a toxic workplace for women in the NFL in general, but here specifically in Washington. And one of the more shocking turns of the entire story, the Washington football team had a grand total of one full-time staffer to work in the human resources department. One. For an organization that was responsible for over 200 full-time employees, they had one person to go to. And even if you go to that person, Maddie, you mentioned Larry Michael. was called in as one of the key perpetrators on this, a lot of the thought went, who are the Redskins going to fire first? A marketing assistant making $30,000 or the radio voice of the Redskins? And that one comment in the story stuck out to me of, even if these women came forward through whatever the organizational channels were, there weren't a whole lot of places for them to go to avoid retribution. They would have to keep going and working with their bosses who were belittling them every day.
And Max, what do you think is up next for the Redskins or the unnamed Washington team?
Yeah, they first need to find a new name because Washington NFL team is a little hard to just keep getting out there. But the team has already hired outside counsel to study the franchise's culture. And the team got ahead of that by announcing the hiring of this attorney before the story came out. But as of right now, the three main names, Santos, Mann, and Michael, they've already left the team. So right now, Ron Rivera is in probably the worst situation he can imagine, where he's brought in to be a first-year head coach of an NFL team that has been out of the playoffs for years, which is already hard enough. And now he has to go through a name change and a potential organizational reckoning at the hands of a new investigation of a lengthy review of the entire team culture, that Rivera did not ask for this to be his first year job. And also the minority team owners of the Redskins, or former Redskins, they've already explored options to try to sell their shares in the team. So this could play out itself in the next month or so before the season begins, with a major reckoning of Washington football and its place in not just DC sports, but also its place in the NFL and wider society.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Max, for joining us today.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you. I sure do look forward to seeing how the story unfolds. So the team has been in the spotlight all week, as Ketchup previously reported that the team would be changing its name and logo in a process that began on July 3rd. This is a developing story, so please make sure to follow @TimeForKetchup for the latest updates.
Living in today's high-tech world can be fun. There is information and entertainment at our fingertips at every moment of every day. And with months of social distancing and quarantining, we are all looking to technology to keep us informed, involved, and interested. But as Twitter shows us all, the internet isn't all fun and games when its security was breached Wednesday, allowing for scam-filled messages to be sent from some of the most followed people on the platform, including Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Jeff Bezos, Kanye West, and Elon Musk, according to NBC.
Twitter announced Wednesday night it suspected a, quote, coordinated social engineering attack by people who successfully targeted some of our employees with access to internal systems and tools, end quote. But what does this mean? According to Mikko Hyppönen, Chief Research Officer at the Finnish cybersecurity company F-Secure, it means that Twitter did not have a glitch, but that an employee or multiple employees hacked these accounts.
Hyppönen stated that humans and their behavior continue to be the biggest threat for organizations. Security holes come and go. Sometimes there's something urgent happening, but once you patch and update, you're good to go. The human weaknesses are there always, every day, forever, end quote. Giovanna Falbo, a spokesperson for Twitter, declined to comment beyond the company's tweets, according to NBC. But the company did tell Vice's Motherboard, a technology publication, that whoever was behind the breach had someone inside Twitter to willingly provide the access.
Motherboard stated that those who claimed responsibility for the breach had worked with Twitter employees. One person even stated that the Twitter employee had been paid for the access. In a world where just about everyone is on social media, it really is crazy to know that all of our information is accessible to an entire company and the world with just a few pushes of buttons.
Totally agree with you there, Kylie. And while no one may want access to our information as much as Kanye West, it's still crazy to think about. Our next story is getting pretty crazy as well.
It really is. And with everything going on in the world right now with COVID-19 and the overall uncertainty of just about everything, many athletes are deciding to remain off the court or their field this year as sports resume once again.
The major league sports that are resuming are as follows: Major League Soccer on July 8th, Major League Baseball July 23rd, Women's National Basketball Association on July 24th, National Basketball Association on July 30th, National Hockey League August 1st, and National Football League September 10th. And as these announcements have been made, many players have decided to remain at home or on the sidelines to ensure the health and safety of themselves and their loved ones. Some of the athletes who won't be playing this year include DeAndre Jordan and Wilson Chandler of the Brooklyn Nets, Avery Bradley of the LA Lakers, Mike Green of the Edmonton Oilers hockey team.
Tiffany Hayes and Renee Montgomery of the WNBA Atlanta Dream Team will also be on the sidelines this year. To see the full list, make sure to check out Ketchup's social media at Time for Ketchup and see if your favorite athletes will be on or off the field this upcoming season. I don't know about you, Madeline, but I'm definitely in the mood for today's good news. What have we got today?
Me too, Kylie. Chris Evans is planning on donating his Captain America shield to a little boy who was a victim of a dog attack.
6-year-old Bridger Walker saved his younger sister from a dog attack and ended up with almost 90 stitches after getting roughed up by the dog himself. Evans praised Bridger on social media, saying, quote, "I'm sure you've heard a lot of this over the last couple of days, but let me be the next one to tell you. Pal, you're a hero. What you did was so brave, so selfless. Your sister is so lucky to have you as her big brother. Your parents must be so proud of you. Keep being the man that you are. We need people like you. Hang in there. I know recovery might be tough, but based on what I've seen, I don't think there's much that can slow you down." End quote.
Bridger is an uber fan of the film and Chris Evans and was thrilled to see the video post from him. I can't wait to see his reaction to receiving the shield, honestly. There's really nothing better than seeing a little kid's dreams come to life.
Definitely. Thank you for catching up on today's news with us. I'm Kylie Thompson.
And I'm Madeline Comm. Please be sure to catch up with us again on Monday.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts.
We appreciate you listening to Catch Up. For even more content, follow Catch Up Digital on social media. Just search for @TimeForCatchup.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the stories we covered today. Just use the hashtag #PassTheCatchup on social media.
Catch Up is an official production of Public House Media.